To discuss this, what's the impact? We're joined by Aditya Welekar, the Senior Research Analyst at Axis Securities. Hi, Aditya. Good morning. Good to see you. Well, give us first your analysis of Mr. Navin Jindal's unlisted entity trying to be a little bit ambitious. And do you think that it will have any kind of impact on sentiment on the listed entity, Jindal Steel? The problem is it's a large entity and the steel will be worrying about funding of this. Your take.
Yeah, good morning, Nigel. So thanks for having me on the show. So you are right. Means these kind of acquisitions, especially in Europe, we have seen that these are quite difficult. Means we have seen in the past how Tata Steel is still struggling with its European assets. So here in this case, ThyssenKrupp Steel Europe is also means they have a blast furnaces and integrated steel operations, and they will have to transition to electric arc furnace green steel. So if Jindal Steel International goes ahead and bids for this asset, they will also have to go through the process of restructuring those blast furnaces, mothballing those blast furnaces, taking the pension liabilities and solving the job cuts, etc. So all these process is slightly stretched and difficult to execute. One positive thing is that ThyssenKrupp Europe Steel has a very good portfolio of steel products, especially its automotive segment. And in Europe, Germany, it is one of the largest players. So on the positive side, it gives them access to European market where automotive segment is have a good exposure. But as I said, means ThyssenKrupp Europe has a 10 million ton of steel capacity, and most of it is blast furnace driven. So that has to be transitioned to electric arc furnace, and that process is slightly costly, and at the same time it involves a lot of restructuring.
Yes, indeed. And what could the rough cost be, this transition? Because we have a benchmark with regard to Tata Steel Europe, right? I think it was 1.2 billion, if I remember correctly, 1.2 billion euros. But that was for around, I think, a 3 to 4 million ton plant. As you're telling us, this is a 10 million ton plant. So the cost could be very high?
Yes, for Tata Steel, the cost was slightly lower. It comes down to almost $0.5 billion per metric ton, because it is an electric arc furnace. Also, we have to recall that they have got grant from UK government also of almost 0.75 million pounds, billion pounds. So for them, that was slightly lucrative in terms of capex. But here, the cost, on a ballpark basis, the valuations run down to $1 billion per metric million ton for any kind of building electric arc furnace. Okay. So that is the ballpark cost we can take into account.
Okay, all right. And will you be worried about the listed entity, that the promoters being very, very ambitious? Or would you think that, they're obviously bought out both the Oman asset as well as the power asset. So at the parent level, actually, Mr. Navin Jindal is in far better shape than, say, around 10 years ago when the street was very, very nervous about what's going to happen next. Do you think any concern for Jindal Steel shareholders, or no concern?
Yeah, Mr. Jindal has taken quite aggressive bets in international markets, and we have seen that in the past. And this ThyssenKrupp Europe is also quite aggressive bet. And on the listed entity, might be in a very short term, we might see some sentimental impact, but then the fundamentals of this listed entity is quite strong. So the Angul capacity will be doubling almost to 12 million tons and aggregate capacity to 15.9 million tons.
In short, Aditya, you're not worried for the listed entity, right?
Yeah, not in the short term, we might see some sentimental impact maybe today or maybe this week. But then, as I said, fundamentally, the company is growing. They are executing. They are increasing their capacities almost double at Angul. So, so may not be that negative as for now.
Okay, let's talk about Vedanta. Vedanta is having that hearing today. It's at around 460 rupees. In the last 1 year, the dividend would be around 52 rupees. So in that sense, it's been a decent performer, taking into account the dividend. Do you think there is still unlocking left in Vedanta? One school of thought is it trades at less than 5 times EV on EBITDA. The other school of thought is they deserve to trade at that particular valuation. Your take?
Yeah, Nigel, so you pointed out this dividend yield is quite lucrative, and that is one positive point for Vedanta. But only thing is that we have to track the deleveraging progress, and that remains quite critical. And this demerger will unlock value definitely, especially in the aluminium segment. But the deleveraging should progress, and the capital the capital management and deleveraging, whatever they are saying, from currently there at Vedanta Resources level, the debt is almost at $4.7 billion, and at standalone entity it's 58,000 crores. So that deleveraging progress has to happen, and this demerger will unlock value, especially in power and aluminium segment. So that is on track. The valuations are definitely slightly lower as compared to peers, and that is due to the higher debt sitting at the holding company.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the key monitorable here is the deleveraging progress.
Sure, absolutely. That always is a key monitorable when you're talking about the Vedanta parent. Very quickly, Aditya, just to go back to Jindal and ThyssenKrupp. Now, this entity, I think, did sales of over $12 billion last year, annual sales. Then you have liabilities, pension liabilities of some 2.7 billion euros. Then there is this electric arc furnace additional expense if they're setting it up for 2 billion. I'm just trying to understand is, I mean, if you have a handle on this, what are valuations looking like, and what could be eventually, I mean, the size of this bid or the offer, if you would even have a guesstimate? I think Chorus back then was over 12 billion euros, if I remember. I could be completely off. But in its entirety, what do you think could be at stake here in terms of the total quantum that Mr. Naveen Jindal will have to put up?
So on a ballpark, we can assume $1 billion per million ton. So if it's a 10 million ton capacity, then it's a $10 billion bid we can expect. I think that plant, that company, ThyssenKrupp Europe, has already sold 20% of its stake to one of the companies, but that amount is not disclosed. So they are going to sell another 30% to form a joint venture with that earlier buyer to form a 50-50 joint venture. But I think now with Jindal Steel actually going for a bid, that amount on a ballpark basis, we can assume $1 billion per million ton. So I think that is the figure that we can go for.
Yeah,
right.
so $10 billion, but we'll need to see, obviously, I mean, in terms of what the eventual structure, contours, and who the other participants are, if at all. Thank you, Aditya, very much for joining in.